टू माय चैनल। आज का टॉपिक है मैनेजमेंट ऑफ टाइम। तो वीडियो स्टार्ट करने से पहले चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लीजिए और बेल आइकन को प्रेस कर दीजिए ताकि आगे आने वाले वीडियोस का नोटिफिकेशन आपको टाइमली मिल सके। तो वीडियो को स्टार्ट करते हैं। Recollect what activities you normally do in a class within a period on any school day. Probably you just the city arrangements of students according to your teaching plan, arrange the teaching learning materials, explain the concepts, ask questions and correct the responses, demonstrate concepts and processes with teaching learning materials, write and draw figures on the board, conduct group activities, consolidate the outcomes of the learning activities, give some task for evaluating the overall impact of the lesson, and so on. You perform all these activities and more within a period of 40 to 45 minutes. Surely you must have realized that the management of classroom time is quite a challenging task, even though it may appear to be simple. It is just not careful planning of instructional activities but also giving close attention to how class time will be utilized. Is there a connection between learning time and student learning and growth? Well, following two major findings have emerged from a number of studies. Student achievement is higher when they spend more time engaged in learning activities. For example, doing experiments, observation, practice work, discussion, problem solving, and reading. The amount of time students spend on learning differs practically from classroom to classroom. However, according to Right to Education Act 2009, 800 instructional hours per academic year for class 1 to 5 and 1000 instructional hours per academic a year for class 6 to 8 is mandated for all schools. The teacher will spend minimum 45 hours in teaching, including preparation hours in a week. Your classroom management procedures should keep children lively, alert, and busy. You can save time in the following ways. Prepare yourself for the classroom activities. Make sure that you clearly know what the next step is going to be. Keep all materials ready and remind students what you expect from them as they move from one activity to the other. While giving verbal instruction, be clear and specific. Arrange the classroom so that students will not always need to leave the seat to start a new activity. Begin your lesson as soon as possible. True, some of your students may not be quite ready. A prompt, decisive start will encourage the slow learners to pick up pace. Your well prepared lesson plan will help in reducing the wastage of time. Before starting a new activity, be sure that most of the students have an opportunity to complete it. Students should know beforehand where they should place their completed written work or projects labeled with their names. If the transition involves moving from an academic activity such as reading or solving problem or doing experiments to a non-academic activity such as recess, game or exercise, your students must understand how to behave and what to do as they leave the classroom of noisy lines in the room or rearrange seats, assigning each student to a specified place in the line or in other lines. Give your students a short written activity before starting a new activity. Write the question or brainstorming activity on the blackboard. This also gives you a few minutes to arrange materials for the next activity. Some different types of sitting arrangement. Sitting arrangement for whole class teaching. You are familiar with the sitting arrangement in a traditional classroom in which students sit in rows in the classroom and the teacher places himself or herself in front of the students as shown in the figure. In this arrangement, the teacher only looks at the students sitting in the front rows and gives more attention to them. He or she cannot give adequate attention to those sitting at the back of the class. Group work is not possible in this arrangement. Hence, in a class where students and teachers are engaged in several learning activities, such sitting arrangements would be inappropriate. The arrangements would then be according to the requirements of the different types of activities conducted in the classroom. Sitting arrangements for teacher demonstration. Suppose you are telling a story to the students in the class and making it lively by enacting with gestures and postures to arouse curiosity and interest among students. Everyone in the class tries to come closer to you so that he or she can see and hear you better. After some time, they no longer sit in rows, but you may find them sitting very near around you. Therefore, when you tell stories, recite poems, solve mathematical problems on the board, conduct experiments, and hold discussions with students, it would be better if you make them sit in a half circle in front of you as shown in the figure. In this arrangement, you can have direct eye contact with every student. Students are able to listen to your voice clearly, read whatever you write on the board, and can see the materials or experiments you are demonstrating. Activity. Consider the following situation. One day, Mr. Uttara, who is a language teacher, gave three pictures of an elephant, a monkey, and a mango to five small groups of students of class 5 to write a small story connecting the three elements. She expected that each group would work on the story independent of the other groups. So, how could she ensure this? She arranged the groups in the classroom as shown in figure. With this arrangement, she found that each group wrote a story quite different from that of the other group. Small groups of 4 to 6 students are allowed to sit in circles in different parts of the room and hold discussions among themselves in the group and come out with a solution. The teacher can move around the groups to monitor the progress of activity and the involvement of each student in the activity. In group activities, this would be a better sitting arrangement than sitting in rows or in half circles that we discussed above. Sitting arrangement for group competition. Sometimes you conduct some activities which require competition among the groups. The competition among group requires a sitting arrangement where students of one group sit in a semicircle and face to face to those in the competing group. Sitting in a semicircle helps the member of the group to have close discussion with each other. You can act as a anchor or the judge for the competition and take a middle position indicated by the dotted line in the figure. One group ask questions and other group member discuss among themselves and answer and vice versa. आई होप आपको वीडियो पसंद आई होगी. प्लीज़ इसे लाइक एंड शेयर ज़रूर कीजिए. थैंक्स फॉर वॉचिंग.